Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Man, I got a big one for you coming straight out of New York City and this new mayoral race. And it sounds like since Eric Adams is not running again and he had such a debacle in his administration that young folks in New York City, their voices have been heard because now they just elected a 33-year-old apparent or so-called socialist named Zohran Mandani to be the newly elected mayor. And he may end up being more controversial than the previous mayor, Eric Adams. They're calling him a socialist. He wants all these social programs to be free, whether it's transportation, medical care for everyone, and he wants to increase the tax base in the city of New York and increase the tax base for the wealthy to pay more to take care of the lower income folks in New York City. And many of the millionaires and billionaires in New York City are thinking about leaving the city of New York and moving elsewhere to places like Florida. So he has a ton of social programs. He's 33 years old, a very young guy. Your vote has power, especially in your local elections, and who is the governance of your city and how legislators and politicians are legislating on your behalf. So why are these older, so we got young vote versus old, and why are these older millionaires and billionaires who pay the highest tax bracket in New York City thinking about leaving as a result of this new mayoral elect? So let's get into it. Why millionaires are planning to escape from New York. The socialist Zohran Mamdani's victory in the mayoral race has prompted some of the wealthiest New Yorkers to seriously consider leaving the city. The morning after Zohran Mamdani's surprise victory in the New York City Democratic mayoral primary race, Tom O'Donoghue's phone was ringing off the hook. Tom O'Donoghue, who runs a luxury construction firm in the Hamptons, the summer playground for rich New Yorkers, said his clients were in complete disbelief that a socialist was suddenly the favorite to win the November general election, which he just won. He said one of his clients has 150 commercial buildings in the city, and he just told him that he had contacted his attorney and talked about that they are getting out of New York City as a result of this newly elected mayor. Though the former New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, had been the favorite to win the mayoral race, Mamdani snared 43.5% of the vote compared with Cuomo's 36.4% of the vote. The ex-governor had conceded, saying of his opponent, "Tonight is his night. He deserved it. He won." Mamdani is a 33-year-old state assemblyman who promised to freeze rent, to stabilize apartments. Listen to this is why they're claiming he's a socialist. Impose a 2% wealth tax on New York residents who earn more than $1 million a year, and raise the corporate tax from 7.25% to 11.5%. New York is home to approximately 350,000 millionaires and 123 billionaires, according to Forbes, and many are seriously thinking about leaving the city of New York because of the direction that the politics are going. And we all know that under Eric Adams' administration, there have been several people that have been fired, that have been indicted, and his administration, Eric Adams' tenure as the mayor of New York was a complete mess. Bill Ackman, who's a billionaire, one of New York's most vocal billionaires, has long said that a Mandani victory could lead to an exodus. In a post on X, he said the ability for New York City to offer services for the poor and needy, let alone the average New Yorker, is entirely dependent on New York City being a business-friendly environment and a place where wealthy residents are willing to spend 183 days and assume the associated tax burden. Unfortunately, both have already started making arrangements for the exits. In 2021, the top 1% of New York City taxpayers paid 48% of the taxes, up from 40% in 2019, according to a report from the city's finance department in New York City. Wilbur Ross, who served as Commerce Secretary in President Trump's first term, predicted that a Mandani mayoral win would or could increase the city's financial difficulties. He said, I don't understand how New York is going to survive the desertion of wealthy people. Ross, a former Wall Street banker, told the New York Times, New York City does not have strong financials, and there is significant risk that the city will get into financial trouble because a few tens of thousands pay the bulk of the income tax. So he's saying if these millionaires and billionaires who are paying up to 44% of the tax base, if they decide to leave New York City as a result of this mayor, this newly elected 33-year-old mayor, that financial trouble is headed towards New York City. And remember, there are much similarities between New York and Chicago under Mayor Brandon Johnson. Chicago has a 50% downtown commercial vacancy rate. Chicago is $1 billion in debt, and Brandon Johnson is trying to or attempting to bankrupt the city of Chicago, and he needs to go. What is going on with these mayors in these major blue cities? Harriet Newman Cohen, a divorce attorney to New York City's wealthiest folks, is already worried about the exodus. The lawyer represented Mandani's mother, the Indian-American filmmaker Mira Nair, when she split from her first husband in the late 1980s. But she says Mandani's platform will make life harder for her clients. This will be hard on business, said attorney Newman Cohen, who also represented Cuomo during his 2005 divorce from JFK's niece, Carrie Kennedy. She says, I may see my practice go down because wealthy people will move out of New York City and my client base may be done. Charles Safadi, who owns the Carlton Fine Arts Gallery on Madison Avenue, where a $100,000 Marc Chagall painting was lost in a smash and grab robbery in 2023, said Mamdani's plans to cut the budget of the city's police department. So he also wants to defund the police department, just like Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. And he wants to create a new department focused on mental health intervention. And this Charles Safadi says that this is crazy, that defunding the police department will inhibit the health and wealth of the public safety for the citizens, the tax-paying citizens in New York. He said the quality of life would be disgusting. Wealthy people, along with anyone afraid of crime, will go to the suburbs, and many companies will be looking for other places to move. All I've heard in the last day and a half are people saying they want to move their businesses out of the city. Wealthy New Yorkers have long been attracted to the Republicans' stronghold of Florida, thanks to the warm weather, low cost of living, and lack of state income tax. A lot of New Yorkers have been going and retiring into Florida for many years. During the pandemic, an influx of wealth reshaped the luxury property market in South Florida. From September 2019 to January of this year, the median listing price of a Palm Beach home nearly doubled from 1.5 million to 2.9 million. Even before the upset of the New York City mayoral race, the Florida governor Ron DeSantis trolled New Yorkers over the prospect of a Mandani victory. Just when you thought Palm Beach real estate couldn't get any higher, he posted on X this week, the governor of Florida is telling New Yorkers, come on down to Florida. Newly elected Mayor Mandani, who has been called a TikTok savant by the New York Times, won nearly half of early voters younger than 45. Young people's voices have been heard, many of whom recently have moved to the city and are struggling with high cost of living and unaffordable rents. He also has a few wealthy backers, including the Sex and the City actress Cynthia Nixon, who celebrated his election win at a rooftop party in Long Island City on that particular night. Zohran's victory was so hard fought, so hard won, and so deeply needed, the actress wrote in an Instagram post calling it one of the greatest nights ever. The managing partner of the Wall Street investment bank BDA Partners, he said that he hoped that Mandani would temper some of his policies before the general election. He said, I just wish he would reach out to businesses and say, we recognize business does something for New York. Because honestly, if you even get 10,000 rich people to leave New York and go to Florida, 10,000 more on top of all those ones who left, that's a terrible dent to the tax base. Mamdani's win has already had an impact on publicly listed firms with a stake in the New York City property market. Shares of Flagstar, a regional New York bank, which has millions in outstanding loans to rent-stabilized apartment buildings, fell by 6% as of Wednesday. Therefore, many millionaires and billionaires are possibly fleeing New York City as a result of this new so-called socialist mayor, Zohran Mamdani.